good evening, good afternoon, good morning from wherever you're tuning in from. Welcome to this Dosikaa webinar series. My name is Steven Atema. I work with the Central Depository and Settlement Corporation. With me, we have a speaker for the day, which is who will introduce herself shortly, and then we can get started. So we have quote unquote two speakers. Let's start with Naila. You can maybe just open your camera and mic, and then introduce yourself to the team, and then we can carry on.
Thanks, Steve. Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. As Steve said, I'm Naila. I work with AIB-Axys Africa as project leader, but I also work with training and financial education. AIB-Axys Africa is a leading stockbroker in Kenya. We've been in existence for 25 years. And we deal in stock brokering. So if you want to invest in stocks, also if you want to invest in fixed income products, that is treasury bonds, treasury bills, we are your go-to partner. And finally, we also deal in alternative investments like derivatives. So if you want to invest in stocks, treasury bills, treasury bonds, derivatives, we are the people to talk to.
Thank you, Naila. There you have it. So AIB is one of our central depository agents and a partner in the Dosikaa product. So another speaker for the day, more or less to do the intro for CDSC is Momo Mutisia. So Momo, you can unmute and introduce yourself. Thank you.
Sure thing. Good evening, everyone. It's awesome to be here once again for another Wednesday evening session, at least going by Kenyan time. So thanks for making time for us today once again. My name is Momo Mutisia. I'm the General Manager, Strategy, Commercial and Technology at the CDSC. And it's a pleasure to be on this session with my colleagues, Atema, my market colleague, Naila, big fan of the work she's doing at AIB-Axys. If you watch the AIB videos on YouTube, I'm sure she's a familiar face. As mentioned before, we just want to have discussions on the various alternatives in the market, the ways you can get access to the information that we have, and how you can use some of the digital platforms that we have to better your investment journey. So in brief, CDSC is the Central Depository and Settlement Corporation Limited, established in 2004. Our business is trust in this market. We make sure that when buyers and sellers interact in the market, everyone gets their dues and nobody worries about whether they'll get their money or their securities when they're supposed to. So we also ensure that your shares are kept safe. We are the organization that ensures that your CDS account and your assets in that CDS account are safe. And the big subject that we've been trying to get people to hear about is Dosikaa. Dosikaa is not a CDSC platform, but it's a market platform by CDSC, the NSE, the Kenya Association of Stock and Insurance Brokers, the Capital Markets Authority. Basically, every player in the capital market is behind Dosikaa because we want to have one platform whereby you can open an account and trade on the go. And it's been a long time in the pipeline, and we're happy it's currently live, done by our technology partners, Synergy Systems. So this session, I think it's twofold. One, it's about investments and different strategies, products, and general info about the capital markets. Then we'll also look at how Dosikaa can help you do that. So on behalf of myself, CDSC, and the other players behind Dosikaa, as I mentioned before, we look forward to this session. We hope you will find value in it and have fun and enjoy. Please share the word, give us feedback. When you find it's working for you, tell us. When you find it's not working for you, tell us. We exist to serve you. That's our mission and our purpose in the market as CDSC and the rest of the capital markets players. So without further ado, I'll hand it back over to Steve. Looking forward to the session. Asanteni sana.
So yeah, let's get right into it, to the discussions for the day. We told you we're going to give you insights about how to access the different capital markets information. And because we have one of our able depository agents, we'll just get started.
I think there's a lot of information out there, but if I was to choose, I mean, maybe the top 4 pieces or places to get information, especially as a someone who doesn't have a lot of background in finance, maybe just a layman, in order to choose the stocks you want to invest in, I would start with the company financial statements. And you don't have to be a guru to analyze these statements. You just need to know the important things to look at in the financial statements. The financial statements are available on the website of these companies because they are public companies, so they have to publish their financial statements. So you can easily find them on their website. And the key items to look for is revenue, for example. This is the amount of money they are making from their services or products that they're putting out into the market. Has this been growing or shrinking over the last 4 years? If it's been growing, that's a good sign. Another thing, for example, to look at would be the profit after tax of the company. Has this been growing? How have they been doing for the last 4 to 5 years? So these are simple line items that you can look for in the statements, the company statements. But if you're, for example, a beginner, one top tip I would give is to look at, go to a stockbroker's website, like for example, AIB, and look at the earning release reports. Usually if you go to their website under the research section, you'll be able to see earnings release reports. And these reports actually analyze the company's financial statements for you. So every year, companies like NCBA, KCB, Equity Bank will release their earnings for the year, how they've done. And if you're a beginner and you want to just understand what are the important things to look at and what the different movements in their numbers mean, you can go to a broker's website, download, for example, the KCB earnings release report. And here, the expert analysts have already looked at the financial statements for you and given you an outlook to guide your investment decisions. So if you already have an understanding of how to look at a company financial statement, please go ahead, download it from the company website like NCBA, look at it. But if you're a complete beginner, you can go to the AIB-Axys Africa website, download the NCBA earnings release report, and read what the experts have said. The next thing to look at would definitely be joining important channels. So on Telegram, many important Telegram channels are there. And these channels give you market updates, financial insights. If something is happening in the market, they'll be quick to tell you what's happening and what that means for the market. It's important to join specific Telegram channels. I'll give one, not to toot our own horn, but we have a really good Telegram channel, AIB. And on the channel, every single day, we give market updates and stock recommendations and just insights. And of course, you can always ask questions to the experts on the Telegram channel. So these are top tips, not the typical, but very clever ways to keep up with things. And another clever thing to do as a investor in the market is to compare different brokers' stock recommendations. So most brokers give stock recommendations, maybe monthly stock recommendations. So you can choose 5 brokers, stock brokers, go to their website. If you don't know which brokers exist, on the NSE website, they have a list of all the brokers in the market. Most of them give stock recommendations. So that month, you can download their stock recommendations and see what aligns, what are they saying about the different stocks? Are they saying the same thing about a particular stock? And because these are experts, if they're all saying the same thing about a stock, that can give you good insights on whether, which direction to go, to buy, hold, or sell. So those are just some ideas. And finally, people don't really do this, but something that has really, really helped to grow investors' mindset and how to think is to read good books on investing. You can even download an audiobook if you don't have time. As you're cooking, as you're driving, you can just have your audiobook playing. But a few good books, if I can give them out, is The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. There's Investing in Your 20s and 30s for Dummies by Eric Tyson. Don't be offended by the name. It just means it's simplified. There's Stock Investing for Dummies by Paul Mlajenovic. I'm not sure how to say that name. And I can put down in the chat, actually, some important books that have really, really helped and will really help you to just gain an investor mindset. So yeah, that's what I have for now, Steve.
What about just general reading of newspapers? Can that help me as an investor make informed investment decisions?
Yes, I'll say yes hesitantly, but yes, I do think there are some newspapers like Business Daily that give very good news on what's happening in the market. So keeping up with the papers, particularly Business Daily, Kenyan Wall Street, these papers, I don't know if I can call Kenyan Wall Street a newspaper, but these online news releases are very useful, especially to keep up with what's happening. But then what I would do is I would double check that with what, all these Telegram channels I've checked. I would double check what they're saying. So for example, with media, they really, they're also looking for a story. So be very careful with just running with what you've seen on Business Daily. Take it as it is. But compare that with what now professionals on these Telegram channels or what your broker is saying in their reports. And if it aligns, then it can help you think through certain decisions that you're trying to make. So I would say, yes, please keep up with Business Daily, keep up with Kenyan Wall Street, but don't let it end there in terms of your decision making.
Are there any alternative sources of info that an investor should also be looking at or would be of interest to any person trying to understand the different companies?
Yes, there are quite a few. First of all, I just wanted to note what you've said. I really like what you've said, and I think it's important. Many times we're looking very far for information, but it's there in our faces. For example, if you look at the students' books, who is publishing those books, you'll see that almost all of them are published by Longhorn, and that's a company that you can invest in. Or if you look at the services that you use in terms of your phone, primarily, M-Pesa, everything is coming from Safaricom, Fuliza. So even as you're looking at the reports, even as you're in these groups, even as you're reading, just keep your eyes open. When you're swiping your card in the supermarket, the PDQ, primarily, which bank are you seeing everywhere in Carrefour, in Quickmart? Which one has the monopoly on these PDQ machines? Just keeping an eye on which company seems to be growing, which company seems to be visible, and definitely making progress. So I would say keeping an eye is important, and just being aware of your environment. But other sites, particularly I use, is a site called Kwaisi. I like it because it gives good summarized data on stocks in particular. For example, if you're looking at how the graphs, if you're looking for graphs of how a stock has performed for the last 10 years, for all time, this you can easily find on this site, Kwaisi, Kwaysi. My Stocks, of course, it's an app, you can download it. Just to give you market insights and data and news all in one. And that's the same for Dosikaa, because I know with Dosikaa as well, you can be able to find summarized market data, all the graphs that you need. There's news on the app. So if you have download the Dosikaa app, at least in all in one, you can trade and get information and data that you can use. And then, as I mentioned before, there are these bloggers who are not as well known as Business Daily, but give very good information. So there's Kenyan Wall Street, there's the Trading Room, there's Business, I'm forgetting their names, but I'll put them in the chat if I remember them. But for example, those three are very, very useful. So yeah, they are data sources, especially on social media. You'd find quite a few accounts that actually give good information and regular information on the market.
those are very interesting insights, Naila. It's hard to keep up. I hope you're also sharing those links that you are providing to the investors. And in any case, we shall also be sharing these nuggets on our social media platforms when we're done with this webinar. But thank you for those insights about the different sources. We'll get deeper into the actual ways one can be looking at a company or how they can do their own business analysis. But just so that we can also take it back to the basics. You have highlighted one of the role of stockbrokers, which is to help investors with information about investing in the stock market or the guidance on which stocks they can buy. But do you want to speak more into what exactly a stockbroker would be helping a customer for? Or sometimes you get queries from investors who are saying, if I have the platform or I have the app, why do I need a stockbroker for?
So a stockbroker is actually very, very important in the market. As I mentioned, AIB has been a stockbroker for the last 25 years. And what we've done, or what we do, is we act as an intermediary. So between investors and the financial markets. So to zoom in on the stock market, when you want to buy stocks, you can't buy them directly from the Nairobi Securities Exchange. You can view the stocks on the Nairobi Securities Exchange, but when you want to actually purchase a stock or sell a stock, you have to go through a broker, because the broker primarily, they provide the trading platform. So they provide the platform through which you can actually buy and sell these stocks. These are online platforms, and on the platform, you can view the prices, the real-time prices of the stocks. You can easily buy and sell the stocks online. You can view your portfolio online. You can make payments. You can make withdrawals through M-Pesa, through bank. So basically, they enable their investors to be able to take action and invest in the stock market. It's important to find a good stockbroker, one who has been around for a long time, one who is accredited or regulated by the Capital Markets Authority. For AIB, we've been regulated by the CMA for 25 years. We are good partners of the Capital Markets Authority. And on Dosikaa, using the Dosikaa app, you can easily link your account to a broker, because the Dosikaa app gives you all sorts of functionalities, but to be able to use it, you have to link it to a broker. So once you link, feel free to link it to the AIB-Axys Africa. We are so happy to help. And I just want to mention, not every broker does this, but as AIB, we provide a lot of support to the client. So that's an additional use of a broker which we provide. So for example, we have weekly stock recommendations from our experts and monthly stock recommendations. The weekly ones are mostly if our experts have seen that, for example, the price will go up or something has impacted a certain stock, and therefore we quickly give our clients guidance on what to do. We also give lots of trainings to our clients. So if you are a complete beginner, this is the perfect broker for you. We'll train you. Our customer care is quick to answer. They are very trained. They'll be able to answer all your questions on the stock market. And with our weekly stock recommendations and monthly stock recommendations, you can make good choices. We also have a very active Telegram group. And on the Telegram group, every Thursday, we open it to our expert analysts, and they answer all questions on the market in real time. So if you're wondering whether you should buy a stock, that is the time to ask, and you'll get an answer from an expert if you're a client. And of course, on WhatsApp, we give market updates and useful information. So this is not what all brokers do. In fact, I think we're one of the few who provide all this support to our clients. And finally, another use of a broker is giving market expertise in a way that our client can understand. So now, not just recommendations, but in-depth knowledge of the market, market reports, analysis, all this is provided for us as AIB. We provide it directly into your email for you to read and make maybe your decisions. So those are primarily brokers provide the trading platform, but of course there are additional services that certain brokers provide. So even as you download the Dosikaa app, feel free to link up with AIB-Axys Africa.
I strongly believe that if most of the folks who are found that some of the companies that they had invested in went under, or they became suspended from trading, would have avoided most of those situations had they been active participants, or at least had they been able to have an active relationship with their stockbroker. So it's very important for any investor, just because maybe you understand how the stock market works, or you know which companies to buy in, to also try to keep a close eye to or a close ear with your stockbroker, because they can help you to also avoid some of the predicaments that face some investors. So while you are trading on the Dosikaa platform, it's always good to just understand who your stockbroker is, where they are located, just in case you have any issues with your trading, or you just need any additional information before you can make an investment. And the beauty about even the Dosikaa platform, when you're choosing a stockbroker, there is a small preview of the different of the contact information of the stockbroker, who they are, and even I believe a link that you can go and dig deeper to just be comfortable with who you are dealing with. There's also another thing that you have mentioned about the role of a stockbroker. Yes, while they open for you accounts, they do for you the trading. Just because you're not seeing a stockbroker on a platform like Dosikaa does not mean that there is nothing happening on the back end. I think we also have to be very aware that the platform is just an enabler for you to access the market. But in the back end, there is something or someone working to make sure that transaction goes through, even if it's a tech platform that has been provided by a stockbroker. So just because you're seeing maybe a platform like a Dosikaa or any other trading platform does not mean that there's nothing happening on the back end. And the infrastructure provider, chances are for you to access the stock market is a stockbroker. So in fact, when you feel that you're not seeing a stockbroker, it just shows to you how efficient that stockbroker is at offering their services, especially in this digital age. Speaking of the digital age, Naila, don't tire on my questions. I am curious. We are in the digital age, and things are trending on the digital platforms or on the social media. We have social media platforms coming up almost every year. What are your thoughts on how this evolution of social media is impacting how investors consume market data, market information, or market news, and how can they, navigate this new development?
I think social media tends to get a bad name, or tends to have a bad name, especially certain social medias. The other day someone was telling me TikTok just has dancers. I was like, you have no idea. There's so much there that is so educative and so useful. So I would say I think social media has a lot of insights, good information, and educative material that is unique in its nature. And I think if you follow the right sites, you can actually learn a lot and grow a lot. And I think consumers are realizing this, and we're seeing a surge in particularly the younger consumers who are now joining the Kenyan stock market, for example, because they didn't even know about it before, but they saw a video on TikTok and they've realized they can actually invest and trade for themselves online and make an alternative source of income, or save and invest even if they're in campus. So I think it's actually changing, it's widening or democratizing the stock market beyond 30 and above to below 30s who are really, really entering the market, which is great. I think it's actually, okay, there's always a bad side, but the good side is you'll find that before, or in many spaces, though this is changing, the information that would be given about the market or the Kenyan stock market or how to trade would be very complicated. So investors would be struggling to understand. They're seeing ratios that they don't understand, P ratios, return on equity, return on. But now, particularly on social media, and many brokers are also changing how they speak to investors, information has been made has been simplified. So you'll find people breaking down previously difficult concepts into 2-minute videos where they just quickly explain how to open a trading account, for example, online, or how to choose a good stock, or what's the minimum you can invest in, or what's the minimum amount to be able to start trading in the stock market. You can find a video on this, and in 3 minutes, you have your answer. So to your answer, I think it's been very impactful in a good way. I would encourage actually anyone, I know everyone is on social media in one way or another, even if it's just WhatsApp, whichever social media you're on, make it a point to follow accounts that talk about finances, that talk about money, that talk about investment, and that talk about, for example, the Kenyan stock market. Follow these accounts. Don't take, as I said before, take all the information, especially on social media, with a pinch of salt, but I know that you'll be able to find useful information there. So yeah, I would encourage people to be more intentional with their social media accounts. I know I've sold AIB a lot, and just excuse me for this, but we do have a TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram channel where we put out regular videos or breaking down different concepts of the stock market. So you can look for us on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Yes, Steve.
Okay, so you're saying social media, like anything, I think in life, has the good and the bad side. So if you follow the right channels, you will get a lot of information about the different ways one can access the stock market, even the different investment opportunities that are available. Sometimes part of what we do on the client management is to try to see what customers are asking. And what we found quite interesting is people want to be guided on where to invest or which company to buy. So it is not enough to tell you that, so go open a CDS account with this stockbroker. People want to be guided on which company should I buy right now, or is it even the right time to buy a company? And that's, again, another reason why you need a stockbroker. While CDSC cannot tell you directly, go open a CDS account with any stockbroker and buy these particular shares. The stockbrokers have the different specialties through the research analyst and the likes to help you understand which company is best for you based on the amount of investment you have, and also the investment horizon that you are that you want to achieve. Because another thing, maybe Naila, you can talk about, how do people make money in the stock market? You know, we are talking about sources of information. We forget that if I am not making money, or if I don't know how to make money, I already lose interest. So maybe we should even you can just hint on that, even as we talk about the different sources of information. How do people make money in the stock market?
Yes. So I like the way you've gone back. But it's very, very useful. I think maybe some people are actually asking that question right now. And there are two ways to make money in this, two primary ways to make money in the stock market. The first one is, let's say, dividends. Let's start with dividends. So dividends, not all companies on the Nairobi Securities Exchange pay dividends, but many of them do. And many of them are regular payers of dividends. If you're in a circle, you understand how dividends work in terms of what they are. But if you're not, so out of the profits, or based on the strategy of a company, they will decide every year whether they are paying dividends to their shareholders or not. So if you're a shareholder of, let's say, Equity Bank, and they decide to pay dividends, then that means that year you'll receive an extra payment into your account. So dividends are paid based on the amount of stocks you own. For example, if you own 500, so they're paid per stock. To break it down, if Safaricom today decided to pay a 2 shilling dividend, that would mean that for each stock you own, you'll receive 2 shillings. So if you own 10,000 stocks of Safaricom, you'll receive 20,000 shillings as your dividend. If you own 100,000 stocks of Safaricom, you'll receive 200,000 shillings as a dividend. So companies generally pay dividends once a year, so an annual dividend, but many of them tend to pay what we call special dividends. So Safaricom may decide that year that they want to give a special dividend to the investors. This is based on the internal agreements between the board of directors. And I know, for example, this year they paid 2 dividends or 3 dividends to their shareholders. So just because you've received their normal annual dividend, it doesn't mean that you won't receive other dividends during the year. So this is a key way that investors earn money, because just by owning the stocks, purely by owning the stocks of these companies, you receive dividends. And it's like a reward for being a shareholder. And some stocks, I mean, dividends vary. Some stocks will pay 2 shillings per stock as their dividend. Others will pay 100 shillings per stock as their dividend. So you can find a dividend history of stocks online and just look at the kind of dividends that these different companies pay. So that's one of the key ways that investors make money on the stock market. Another key way that most people are familiar with is the change in stock prices. The whole story of buying low and selling high. So stock prices are always fluctuating. They're always up, they're always down in the short term and in the long term. And what investors do is they try to enter when the stock is low and therefore sell when the stock price has gone up. So for example, if you buy a stock at 10 shillings and then you sell in a couple of months or even maybe a year at 30 shillings, then you've made a good profit. For example, Safaricom last year at some point was 42 shillings. Right now it's 14 shillings. So many investors are really coming into the market to buy Safaricom because they believe that it will go back to that 40 shillings in the long term. And that's the amount of profit they'll make per stock that they own. So these are the 2 key ways to make money from the stock market. It's buying a stock price when it's at a low price and then waiting to sell when it's at a higher price. So the difference is the profit you'll make. And another way is the dividends you earn purely for owning the stocks of that company. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very good insight. I think when you know how to make money in the stock market, you can now even it can also guide the type of company that you can invest in, because we have what we call the dividend counters, and then we also have what the different types of companies that are also on their way up in terms of price appreciation. So sometimes when the goal that you're trying to achieve will also likely dictate the different type of stock you can buy. It doesn't mean that it will always be the case, but more often, if you're looking for dividends, you'd find through your stockbroker guidance on which companies are the best dividend payers. And if you're looking for growth, you will also find which companies are the best companies to invest in and go through that that session. So as we are now we are about to switch gears and get into the session where we talk about actually how you get these different types of information through the Dosikaa app, because we have tried our level best to ensure that the different types of information that an investor would need to make a decision before buying or selling a stock are available through the digital platform, which is the Dosikaa application. So I believe my colleague had shared the Dosikaa link. We would just encourage you to download the Dosikaa app, either if you're using Android device or the Apple device. You should be able to access the Dosikaa app, so that when we get into the demonstration, you will also be able to follow. Usually, when you learn best when you practice. When you just listen to what we are talking about, you might forget what this discussion was about. But if you go through it, even after this session, you might be able to move the needle on your end in terms of how you can start accessing the stock market. So again, I think my colleague will pin that Dosikaa link on the chat so that you can click download. And if you already have it, just be on standby, because we're about to go into the demo stage. Now, as we come to a close on this session, Naila, we've talked about the different sources of information. We've talked about how people can make money in the stock market. Now I'm an investor and I've had almost 10 sources that I can get information to start trading. Understandably, I would be feeling a bit overwhelmed. How would you advise me to proceed or take my next steps in terms of now taking action and investing in the Kenyan stock market?
The best place to start would be with a professional body, because then you wouldn't need to filter information and take things with a pinch of salt and all these things. You would just be able to take the information as it is, as professional bodies have to produce accurate information. So the first place, of course, is your broker. The information that they provide has to be accurate, because I mean, they are professional body, they are regulated, and they are using experts to provide this information. So start there. Start with the stocks that you're interested in, and go and look at the company reports that the broker has done on these particular stocks. Read through what they think about the stocks. Read through the stock recommendations. Ask your questions to either the customer care, or to their analysts on, for example, their different channels. Ask them questions. And through this, you'll be able to at least have started to narrow down to the stocks that you want to invest in based on accurate information. Then all the other things, the media, the social media, the bloggers, etc., will just complement, the books will just complement your growth journey as you learn to be able to filter information, and just as you understand more and more what you're listening to, what you're hearing. But definitely first start with what has been provided by your broker, the information, the accurate information that has been given.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Pia. But the first thing, of course, is to get started. You can learn along the way. And the beauty about the stock market is you don't have to invest 1,000,000 shillings or 100,000 shillings. With your 500 or 1,000 shillings, you should be able to get started. In fact, while we encourage everybody to have a portfolio in the stock market, we are also cognizant that there are some risks involved in investing, and we would encourage anybody who wants to actively participate in the stock market, start with as little as 500 shillings. Try your hand in the market, try to see how the different platforms work, and then slowly you will be building confidence in the different investment decisions you're making, and very soon you will also be investing in larger amounts. So the first thing is just get started, and you can start investing today when you open the Dosikaa application and open an account or link your existing account. So hopefully all of you have downloaded the Dosikaa app. If you have not, please, you have gained all this knowledge so that you can also act on it. And the way to act on it right now is to download the Dosikaa platform or the Dosikaa app. It's a mobile application. We don't have a web version, but the mobile application will serve you for all the trading and investment needs you have. What makes Dosikaa different is that Dosikaa combines the onboarding process, which is the account opening process, and the trading process. So when you are trying to, previously, you would have to visit, most of the time you'd have to visit a stockbroker to open a CDS account. Very few stockbrokers had what you'd call the digital account opening platform. But now with Dosikaa, we have increased the number of stockbrokers that can facilitate online account opening. And then when you open an account, the other thing that you don't open an account just to have a CDS account and tell people you have a CDS account. You want to actually trade in the listed companies. So now with Dosikaa, you can open an account, and within 24 hours, you are able to start trading and investing in the stock market. So that is why we are very passionate about this product, because we are trying to reduce the friction for any customer who wants to start investing in any of the favorite listed company by opening an account and starting to trade within 24 hours. So again, I'm urging you, if you don't have the link, please raise your hand, or my colleague again will share that link. We shall not tire to share with you the link, because we are fully convinced that this platform or this application will revolutionize how your investment experience is. So I'll just ask my colleague Momo to start sharing his screen so that we can start highlighting what Naila was talking about on the different sources of information and how you can use them on the platform. There are some questions on the chat as Momo is trying to share. Okay, we'll try to deal with these questions after the demo or after the demonstration. So when you open the Dosikaa app, hopefully, I believe that we are talking to people who are action when they're given information. Again, another thing, maybe if you're worried about downloading the Dosikaa app, downloading the app and opening a CDS account is free. So you don't even need to have that 500 shilling I'm talking about. But you need to experience the platform for you to understand what opportunities lie in investing in the stock market. So again, when you open when you download the Dosikaa app on either Google Play or Apple Store, you will go through what you call the registration process. You have to sign in, register. It's a pretty simple registration process. We can do another demo next time. For the people who are in the previous webinar, we did the demo, but now we just want to focus solely on the different types of information that one can access. Now, if you look at the screen that has been shared by my colleague, this is likely what you will see when you open the app. Usually to go to the, maybe it will be on the active volume, but let's start on the gainers. Now, if you look at that market summary, it basically gives you a snapshot of how the market performed at that day. So you will see that the screenshot is showing that today is October 11th and the market is closed. The NSE, or the Nairobi Securities Exchange, operates between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. But with Dosikaa, you can even place we call it an off-market order, which means you can place an order after 3 and it can be executed the next day. But anybody who wants to participate in the stock market will participate actively from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So I think, Momo, it seems you're getting ahead of me. I was trying to highlight what you get on the market summary tab. And first of the thing that I just want to explain some of these things that you're seeing here. So when you see after the date, you will see something called volume. Volume is basically how many shares were traded in that day. Turnover is the value of those securities. Deals are the trades that matched or the trades that closed. That means a buyer found a seller and a seller found a buyer. Now you see on the Dosikaa app, there we have gainers, we have decliners, we have active volume, we have turnover. Momo has clicked on gainers, but when you are on the app, you can be able to click on decliners, you can be able to click on active volume, you can be able to click on turnover. So assuming we have clicked on active turnover basically means those are the stocks that are actively traded at that day. If you are on active turnover and you say you are new to the market and you want to understand which stock, if I want to enter and exit with ease, which stock will work for me best? Chances are, when you look at the active turnover, maybe if you look at it over a week, you'll notice that there's a trend with some stocks, maybe Safaricom features there, KCB, Equity, and whatnot. So it gives you just an impression or a feel of which stock is actively trading. Sometimes it can be the active turnover can mean that people are selling that stock a lot. It could also mean that people are buying that stock. And the beauty with the way the graphics have been created, it gives you some form of insight of how the stock is performing just by looking at it without even digging deep into the stock. So assuming that you started looking at this company and you thought, I've had equity is my bank. Let me see how equity is performing. So you could be able to click on equity itself, and the app provide you some insights about how the stock is performing. I think there's a lag in the load, but what you would see, would be a graph that shows you how the stock has been performing over maybe 65 days or over a month or over 3 months. Why this graph is important is it gives you a visual representation of where the stock is headed. Sometimes a stock can be on an upward trend, which can be a good time to buy, or it can also be a good time to sell, depending on when you enter the market, or a stock can be on a downward trend. Now, depending on how you're viewing that stock, you will be able to have an appreciation of, if I put my money in today, where am I likely to be maybe after 3 months, depending on your investment horizon. Actually, unless you are a very sophisticated stock trader or an investor, we urge you to have a long-term view of the market. You cannot come to the market today. You have never heard about how equity trades. Buy today and expect to make money tomorrow. You can, but that would be beginner's luck. Ideally, you should look at the market in terms of 3 to 5 years. If you can't hold a stock for that long, then try to talk to a stockbroker to give you the short-term investment strategies. Because if you enter the market and assume just because equity made maybe between 28th and 29th, it had that curve, you are assuming that you can also try to beat the market. Usually, it does not work in your favor. So Momo, if you can just go up so that we can see the other information that an investor. Go down. So when you look at the platform, it will give you a lot of information. Now, the only thing you should be interested in when you're looking at this as a beginner is just look at what the price, what you'd call the average price of that stock. You can look at if there were turnover, means like I said earlier, how the stock is trading, and you can also look at, if you want to gauge on how the stock has been performing, just look at what we call the performance, either 1 week, 3 months, 6 months. You can even look up to 5 years. So you can see, if you're looking at equity like we are right now, you would tell, if I had put my money yesterday, I'd already made almost 0.55%. Now, if I'm looking at investing in equity for the long term, the question would be, am I looking at, do I perceive, or do I feel like I will make money in 3 years, in 1 year, in 2 years? And that's where, again, like I told you earlier, your stockbroker comes in, because they have experts who look at these different counters. They look at their performance, they look at even the management. Another thing actually that we might have forgotten to mention earlier is, another source of information is the company's website. You can go to equity website and look at the performer, at the management, and make an assumption or a view of whether this company is well managed. So if a company is well managed, sometimes the stock price will go up and down, but ultimately the trajectory will be up. So you can move to we are now on chart and quote. I think if you move to the left, Mumo, somebody can see that there's also an additional section that people can see. Now you see, if you did not even if you did not know about equity, you would be able to see a brief summary of what equity does, which segment they play in, what are maybe some of their strengths. This section is just a summary of what the listed company is doing. You can see the sector, and you see when you see listed companies, you'll see them listed per category. So category or sector is which sector that company is playing in. We have banking sector, we have automotive, we have telecoms, we have manufacturing, we have insurance, investment. So equity plays in the banking sector. So as an investor, you can get a feel of what company you are buying in. And if you're interested in the banking sector, then of course you'll be looking at equity. When you go to the next section, or the left side of the platform, you will be able to see an order book. An order book basically means these were the buys and sells that happened during that trading day. So you can see that equity, maybe there are several trades that were available for sale. There were those that were available for buys. We did a whole webinar about this order book session that we shall hopefully be able to upload next week. But the order book it gives you a view of what is happening on the market. What are people buying? How much are people buying, or how much are people selling, and at what price? So if I were to come to the market and say, now I'm interested in equity, I would be saying that I want to buy equity. So equity, when I'm making a buy, I would be making what we call a bid. So if I am an investor who wanted to buy equity, I'd be making a bid. Now, if I was operating today between 9 and 3, you would see that the highest bid of that day was at 36.2 shillings. So it means anybody the guys who wanted to buy equity were willing to buy it at 36.2 as the highest. But there was also somebody with 200 shares who wanted to buy it at 34. You see, I highly doubt that the 34 person found a buyer, because the way the market works is the matching happens only when the buyer and the seller are able to match. So you'll see that somebody also wanted to sell equity at 37. So if there is nobody who is willing to sell equity at 36, chances are this trade will not happen. But the guy who sold at 37 might have given a room that if somebody is willing to give me a 36 point something, then I will, my trade can settle. So as a new investor, we always urge you, when you are trying to buy or sell security, if you're a buyer, look at the demand side. If you look at the supply side, the least supply is what you should try to match. So if I were to come to the market today and I really want equity stock, I would try to make it to make my demand or my bid at 37, because if I make it at 36, it might not settle by the end of the day. So any new investor, with time, you can be able to, make an estimate of which price, try to play the market, like these guys who did that 6.95. But even if you're being honest, that 6.9 is as close to 37 as can be. So if you had made a bid of 37 and you really wanted those securities, your trade would have settled. But if you made at 34 shillings, I am certain that trade did not go through. So moving on to the next side, the financials. Again, the platform gives you a lot of information that can allow you to make an informed decision. So maybe you're looking at equity, but you're wondering, why is equity stock performing the way it is? The first thing you should be looking at, you're saying, I want to understand how this company is making money. So you will find the financials bit or the financial statement of that company on the Dosikaa app and on the financial sector. I think there is also a further slide to go on the left. But remember, again, all this information is good for you when you can understand it. We also have trainings about how to read financial statements that you can go to our YouTube page and find at CDSC Kenya. But again, whenever in doubt, just consult your stockbroker. Don't feel like this information is so complicated that it puts you off from investing in the stock market. I don't know if we have another screen on the left, Momo. Yeah, another most important thing which Naila talked about. If you are an investor in a stock that you are expecting dividends, the thing that you want to know is, when is the company paying dividends? Now you'll see equity paid dividends in those listed years. I think in those periods, and you can be able to tell that okay, maybe equity is a good dividend payer, or it is a bad dividend payer. Then you move to another company like say Safaricom and whatnot. So that is just on the summary. Another place that you would be able to see is when you actually go to a listed companies. On the Dosikaa app. Yes, we talked about the historical prices. Historical prices. I think when you look at the graph, unless you are a very keen technical analyst, historical prices will not be such a. It's good to have, but if you're looking at the graph, you'll have a feel of the direction of the market. So we've seen that you can get information about dividends, which is very important, especially like we said, if you are a new investor and you're looking at investing in this thing for 3-5 years. Again, another thing we need to point out is, when we say that you're investing in 3 to 5 years, we're not saying look for 1 million shillings, come by and with a plan of exiting in 3 years. This is not, you're not investing in real estate. What you do is, if you have that, you don't have 1 million, but you have a target of owning, say I want to own 100,000 equity shares by the time maybe 5 years from now. So your goal can be, I want to accumulate maybe 1,000 shares of equity every month. So that 1,000 shares with the trading at 37 shillings would be 37,000. So if you're able to invest in 37 in equity for 37, of course, if you're buying it every month, there'll be times when it's 40 shillings, there'll be times when it's 35 shillings. So when you're looking at in that space, if you're saying I want to have 100,000 shares of equity, look at it as a long-term goal that you can achieve in it. Don't imagine that I want to have 3.6 billion and buy, or 3.7 million to buy. I need 3.7 million to buy equity shares. So just have an understanding that the stock market is here and it will always be here. So you don't have the urge to try to make money immediately. So I think we're done with the different areas on this. Then there is also the news. The news is how the platform gives you insights on what is happening on the business side of the market. So you can have a look at even international markets, just to get a feel of what is happening, because sometimes what happens in the international space or international scene can affect what is happening in the local scene. Like if you hear something about maybe the US trying to raise interest rates, you can be sure that it will have an impact on this. So some of the information you can get on the international markets can also be found here. You can also get information about the listed companies on the stock exchange through the business daily link that is here. We have the different blogs that read capital market news. So there is a lot of information that if you are really keen on trying to buy or to invest in the stock market, you will not suffer. And all of this, if you can remember, have been mentioned by Naila and I, just to tell you that the platform or the Dosikaa app application is trying to mimic how an investor would need to make an informed decision. So maybe, Momo, we can get out of the equity counter. Yes. So again, this is the homepage. We assume that you guys are going to download the platform, the app, and when you download the app, you should be able to see this with or without linking your app, your account. But again, there's no point of seeing all this information if you can't take action. So if you are an investor, you would then go to the trade, but you're not going to go to the trade. You're not also going to go to the portfolio because this is a mock account. You can go again to the calendar just to have a view of the different information. Maybe you can move to the left so that you see this. I think it's 6 months or 12 months back. We are also trying to improve the platform so that we can also, I think the problem with what we have in Kenya, we don't have a calendar, what we call the dividend calendar. But in time, NSE has promised that it is working on that. And hopefully, when companies, listed companies, of course, NSE also gets this information from listed companies. Now, when listed companies are able to tell beforehand that they're going to pay dividends in time, you will also be able to see us or the Dosikaa platform predicting or giving you insight about what is coming in future. But again, I will always refer you back to your stockbroker. When you talk to your stockbroker, most of them will know if I am an investor in WTK, WTK usually pays a dividend at this period. So this is maybe the time to buy, or this is the time to sell if you are a WTK shareholder. Or Crown Paints. Crown Paints, maybe they tell you Crown Paints has never paid dividends. So unless you're looking for it to grow your wealth, you should not be thinking about Crown Paints as a dividend. But you see, when they paid 4 shillings. So this chart or this section just gives you as an investor a view of the companies that are actually paying dividends and at what price they pay the dividends. So what you look at, maybe you're saying, I'm interested in the Nairobi Securities Exchange. You see, NSE paid a dividend of 0.2 shillings. I'm sure one is wondering, why is NSE paying 0.2 shillings when WTK is paying 30 shillings? What dictates the amount of money that a company will pay is based on the share price as well as the profits that those companies are making. Share price, the profits, as well as the what you call the shares that are the floated shares, which means a company that has more shareholders will likely, in quantum sense, they can say they are paid 40 billion shillings in dividends, but because they have over 1 million shareholders, then the dividend per share for every investor is limited. It could also be a factor of the profit. So if a company has not made so huge profits, then they would pay a limited amount. So even as you look at the different, just go back to the main corporate actions. If you look at the different companies, just be aware that just because a company is paying 30 shillings does not mean that then it's the company for you, because it can be paying 30 shillings because it's trading at 200 shillings. So 200 shillings, it means you would need like 20,000 for you to own that stock. Why not go for a company maybe that is paying 1 shilling and it's trading at 9 shillings per share? So those are the different dynamics. If we had time, we would try to explain what how you come to compute to understand the different prices and what it means for an investor and what we call the dividend yield. But we can do that in a future webinar. But for now, I think that is enough information that should be enough for you, just to give you comfort that if you want to trade in the stock market, come to the market, open a CDS account through the Dosikaa app, go to the different tabs. You can look at any of the companies, and as you can see, the counters are the application is pretty intuitive to give you insights. Maybe just one more thing, Momo, before we close. You can go to the main tab. I think when you click on market summary, the different arrows, it will take you to the main what do you call it? The equities, yeah, the real-time equities. Now, if you're not interested in those active counters, when you click the arrows either to the left or right, you will go to what we call the real-time equities. Now, the real-time equities gives you a list of all the securities or all the shares that are traded on the NSE. So you can just scroll through and see a share that is of interest to you. If you click on one, it will give you any information that you need on that counter, and you can make a decision. So assuming Momo was scrolling through and saw NSE. Now somebody is looking at NSE and saying, you remember we saw NSE was paying 0.2 shillings. Now, if you look at NSE, it's trading at 5 shillings. So if you wanted to earn maybe dividends from NSE, you had a higher chance with your 500 shillings or your 600 shillings to buy an NSE stock than you could if you wanted to buy a Williamson's tea. And even the counter gives the app gives you additional specific information on the corporate actions of that listed company. So it's a pretty intuitive app, and if you interact with it for long, you will appreciate how it can allow you as an investor to make additional informed decisions. I think that's all the time we had to give you the demo on. We encourage all of you to just try the app, even if you're not going to buy. I'm sure when you look at the different tabs and the different opportunities available, you can be able to make a decision. And if not, always refer to your stockbroker for guidance. So that's all we had for today. You can join us next week to engage in our weekly webinar series. We'll be talking on a different topic. But even before we close, I think we can take some questions or comments from folks, and then we can come to an end. Sorry if we had to rush that, but it's just to give you an understanding that the Dosikaa application has almost everything you would need to trade in the or to start investing in the stock market. And when in doubt, talk to your stockbroker. But again, come to the Dosikaa app to trade. We have currently, I think, 6 stockbrokers, but ultimately, if you can't see your stockbroker, again, there is nothing stopping you from opening a CDS account with Dosikaa. You can have 2 CDS accounts. When your stockbroker joins the platform, well and good. If it doesn't, it won't stop you from trading, because you will be accessing the stock market in real time. So just an encouragement that you can always, you don't have to feel limited to invest in the stock market because maybe you feel your stockbroker is not there, or you feel intimidated by the information. I'll try to tackle 1 or 2 questions before we can come to a close. In case you have any issue, please, again, just share your question on the chat board. If we can't answer it now, you can be sure that our responsible teams will deal with it. Thank you, Momo, for sharing your screen. I downloaded some of the questions we are seeing. I downloaded the Dosikaa. I downloaded the CDSE on my phone, but I'm unable to upload my credentials to the email contact to link my brokerage account. Josiah, I think the question is a bit vague. We might have to take it offline. If we can't answer your question here directly, please email us on help desk. I think one of my colleagues can help me type that. helpdesk@cdsekenya.com. Our team will be able to, escalate your queries, because some of these queries you cannot be able to address it without knowing the full information on the particular area. So again, if you follow us on social media, you can also DM us. It might be even faster to get a response on the different platforms. We thank you guys who are accessing the Dosikaa app and who have downloaded to just enjoy the platform. Why is the app showing demo on the portfolio part? And I already created an account linked to a broker, and I bought a few shares. I'm not sure when you bought the shares, but some features on the app, you will start seeing some features on the app maybe disappearing because it's prompting you to trade. Because remember, all this information is being accessed and at a cost. So when you trade, you're also encouraging the developers and the people in the platform to continue availing this information. In fact, if you want to enjoy the full features of the Dosikaa platform, you need to trade. When you have this feature, probably you will enjoy all these features for free, I think, for either a month or a week. I'm not really sure. But if you want to continue enjoying seeing every information on Dosikaa or on the market, even buying shares, like I've shown you NSC, or I've shown you any company that is trading at less than 10 shillings. When you buy those securities, the account on the back end is activated and you can be able to see all market information. I think we also have to be cognizant that all this information requires some form of investment and resource allocation to ensure that all this data is updated. I trade in stocks, indices, and forex. I was told I require a CICD account. Please explain why this is necessary. I'm not sure I get your query, Philip, but I know we have only 2 types of CDS accounts. Okay, maybe say 3 accounts in Kenya. We have the derivatives account, we have the CDSE CDS accounts, and we have the CBK CDS account. So if you want to trade in bonds and equities, that will be the CBK CDS account. Sorry, bonds and government treasury bills, that will be the CBK CDS account. If you want to trade in shares, that will be the CDSE CDS account. And if you want to trade in derivatives, there will be an account that will be open to you via your stockbroker. I learned about Dosikaa 3 weeks ago. That's when I started investing. I have already grown my portfolio to 11,000. That's really good, Hannah. What we just encourage you is continue investing in the stock market. There'll be days when the counter goes up and when it goes down. But if you're consistent in your investing over time, it will even out. People who have made money in the stock market, have been consistent in trading in the stock market and have bought the securities as long as the counter is performing through the good and the bad times. Like right now, if somebody were to just have a look at the stock market, they would say, the stock market is doing really poorly. But if you look at the different counters in the stock market, don't look, when you're investing, there's no way you're going to invest 60 securities. But if you look at some of the securities that would be attractive to any investor, when you look at the performance, even though it has gone down, that presents an opportunity for any serious investor to get into the action. So don't always generalize information about, okay, the stock market is performing poorly, or I hear this counter is not doing well. That is one counter out of 60. It does not even represent a statistical percentage to allow you to make a decision about the market. So always try to look for opportunities in the stock market. I would wager that somebody, if you were to extrapolate that to other investment ideas, one would say people are being defrauded in land, but people are still buying land. Like, just because something is happening negative on a market does not necessarily, should not be a general a blanket indictment to a market that then you don't invest because somebody told you about a counter, or they bought some stock that didn't perform. Different people will have different experiences in the market. Just try to have a close relationship with the stockbroker and try to be an active investor, and chances are you will be able to avoid some of the challenges that people are facing out there. I can't see my preferred stockbroker. How do I go about it? John, again, like I said, you don't need to have your preferred stockbroker on the platform. Well, we'd love to have all of them. Some of them might take time to be onboarded, and we need. You can also engage your stockbroker just to see what exactly is the challenge and what you need to do. But you are also free to open a CDS account, a new CDS account. If, for instance, dividends for WTK are to be announced tomorrow, and today I buy a lot of them, will I get the 30 shillings share? Julius, technically, yes. If you are to buy, no, chances are when a company, okay, I think my colleague will take that. But I wanted to say, when you're buying a stock, when a company has announced dividends, it will also reflect on the share price. So just because a company has gone up, a company has announced dividends, does not necessarily mean that it's a good buy, because when a company announces dividends, everybody rushes to buy it. So you also need to be aware and to understand, am I able to take the risk in the price appreciation and fall, or should I wait until the dividend is paid and then I can invest when it's low and wait? Dosikaa is owned by the stakeholders. These are the NSE, CDSC, and CMA. So you don't need to worry, Odhiambo, about ownership of Dosikaa. Can I link any CDS account? Technically, yes, but if you link a CDS account that is not a part of the brokers on the platform, you won't be able to trade. So you will just then be able to access the Dosikaa features for a while, and then it will disappear. So we urge you to open different accounts. Yeah, I think we're coming. We'll have to deal with some of those questions online. If you are unable to link your stockbroker, again, just contact us through helpdesk@cdsckenya.com, and we shall advise. I would really like to answer all of your questions. Can you download on the laptop? No, Peter. Unfortunately, the Dosikaa platform is the Dosikaa app is only for the mobile application. But anything you need on the mobile app, you should be able to get it. Is it free to use Dosikaa? Yes, if I can call it that, but my colleague will answer. It's free to open an account, but when you trade, you'll be subjected to the market fees. Actually, another thing about Dosikaa, we don't charge extra fees. Like the fees you would have to pay when you're trading in the normal operation, calling a stockbroker and making a bid, is the same fee that we are charging here. So it's not like Dosikaa, because we are offering you additional convenience, we are charging you extra. It's going to be the same experience for the physical space as well as for the online platform. We don't do currently. Dosikaa is only in case Kenya shillings. Naila, maybe you might have to deal with this. AIB Telegram is not open to send questions. Can anyone provide info on privatization relating to Kengen? I think on privatization questions, maybe you might want to talk to your stockbroker, but maybe we'll have another session to talk about what government is doing on the privatization end. But in the meantime, Kengen is a listed entity, and the shares, if you want to buy Kengen shares, they can be available. They are available on the stock market. So yes, thank you guys for making time. If I didn't answer your question, I'm really sorry, but our
Steve,
to be able to do that. I was about to welcome Naila, but she's jumped the gun. So yes, Naila.
sorry, Steve, I thought you had forgotten that one question.
No, I can't.
About the Telegram group, yes. So it
Mm.
opens on Thursdays for the question and answer session, the whole day on Thursday.
Okay. So Naila, so for the guy asking about the Q&A, you can have a Q&A with the team on Thursdays. Is it morning to evening? Naila?
Yes, you can ask your questions until I think close of day, 5 p.m. and then they're answered even up till the next day.
Okay. So now as we come also to a close, Naila, do you want to give your closing remarks, even as we try to guide investors on where they can access the stock market information?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, first of all, so much to CDSE for organizing this session. I think they are so helpful to investors in the market. It's not every day you find such a webinar talking about a specific topic and just giving all the information. So thank you. Also, a quick thank you to everyone who attended. I'm so glad that you're taking the steps to just enhance your investment journey. Keep taking those steps, keep attending the webinars, keep looking for information. And I know in 1 year's time, you'll be way further than where you are today. So congratulations. And yeah, I think it's been a great session. Just to say, on behalf of AIB-Axys Africa, we are grateful to be a part of it. And please do reach out to us at info@AIB-AxysAfrica.com if you want to move on with a stockbroker in any way, whether it's support or even opening a trading account and linking to Dosikaa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Naila. Momo, do you want to give closing remarks before we end?
Sure, it will be my pleasure. Thank you to everyone for joining us today. I think a big shout out to everyone who has joined this call. We really appreciate your time. You're the reason we are doing this session, because we want to make sure our investors have the right information and the right tools to get value from the market. So we hope you found this very helpful, and we'll be having more sessions later. And I'd like just to reiterate that this is not a CDSE thing. It's a market initiative for our market, our investors. So behind the scenes, we have a lot of other players doing a lot to make sure Dosikaa is working and word is getting out. And that's the NSE, the CMA, CASIB, and other players in the capital markets, like our stockbrokers, whom I'd also like to say thanks to, including Naila representing AIB-Axys. Thanks for the insights, much appreciated. And Atema, our moderator, thank you as well. So from me, that's it for now. Let's build our market. I always firmly believe in Buy Kenya, Build Kenya. The market was built and designed for Kenyans. So if we don't get value from it, then it's really not doing what it's supposed to do. So kwa hayo machache, I just want to say a big thanks to everyone, and I wish you all a nice evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Momo. And again, thank you all for making time to be with us until the end. Like Momo said, we need to just get moving and start investing in the stock market. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. Put whatever you have that is on the disposable income end, and start your journey to investing in the stock market. Another thing that makes us share this information on a regular basis, because we understand that there are people who are worried about investing in the stock market. We understand that there are some people we understand that there are some risks in investing in the stock market. But when an investor is empowered with information like what we are sharing, the chances of them, we reduce the downside or the chances of them also losing money, because they are also aware on the different types of stocks they can buy. They are also aware on the different places they can get access to information. And when an informed investor is what CMS called, an informed investor is a protected investor. So we are really passionate about every investor trying to get access to information in the stock market and also access the stock market. And that's why we have applications like Dosikaa. Remember that you can talk to CBSC on all our platforms at CBSC Kenya, including YouTube. We have a lot of content on YouTube on how to start investing in the stock market, how to analyze a company. We shall also we also do weekly webinars on Dosikaa. So next week again, same place, same time, we'll have a different topic. We'll try to ensure that we can also do another demo. I saw a question about how somebody can link their account. We shall also try to do another demo about linking your account and trading. But in the meantime, please try to explore the app. When you have any challenges, talk to the stockbroker that you will have selected, or you can also talk to CPS. With all those remarks, thank you again for making time. Have a good evening and see you in the next one. Please follow us on our social media platforms to get all information about upcoming webinars, market insights, and information about different companies. Thank you very much and have a good evening.